Hello, I'm Steve Maskery and welcome to Workshop Essentials. Now usually I've got my Suva guard attached to my saw. It's this one, and if you've seen any of my videos you'll see me use it. It mounts there like that and comes down over the blade like that. But it does rely on me having the rip fence in place for support. Without the rip fence it waggles about too much, and I don't like things waggling about near my spinning table saw blade. So on occasions I have to get rid of the, where have I put it? I have to get rid of my rip fence, maybe because the workpiece is long and sticks out the side. And if I get rid of the rip fence I can't use that guard, and that's when I use this. And for most jobs I can mount this on the side like this. But there is another way in which I can use it. And when it's like that I can mount it at the end over the blade that way. And if I'm using any kind of sled, the sled will go underneath, but my fingers won't unless I do so deliberately. Now, this doesn't work as well as it did when I first made it. I can feel that it's easier to slide about. When I first made this, this was, I mean, I could move it, but I really had to push hard. And now I can slide it fairly easily. And I didn't think that magnets lost their magnetism. Maybe they do. But I can see one thing that has happened, and that is this baseboard isn't as flat as it was. This spent 2 years in a barn between my old workshop and this one. And there were lots of things that it didn't do much favours to, really, getting a bit damp. And it's no longer dead flat. So I'm pretty sure that this magnet doesn't hold as well as it used to, because it's not in perfect contact with the table saw. So now is a good time to remake this and make one that doesn't look as shabby as this does as well. So I've got some new magnets, and they're called neo magnets, neodymium or something, and they are very, very strong. That, I mean, I can slide that about, but it's hard to slide one, and I've got 4 of these things, so I'm pretty sure that this isn't going to move at all. So I've got some new magnets, I've got some new polycarbonate. I'll probably make a new handle as well, because I've noticed in preparing for this that the, let me just put that down, the heel is getting a bit worn there. It's getting a little bit rounded over. So I can reuse the knobs, and that's everything else is going to be new. We're going to start off by routing these slots, and that means we've got to go over to the router table. See you in a mo.
It's at this point that I realised that my router table was set up for another job, and I didn't want to mess that setting up. So instead I'm routing them by hand using a cross-mortise jig with a backer underneath so that I don't wreck my bench. You can find this jig on volume 2 of my Workshop Essentials series, Jigs and Accessories. Believe it or not, when I got this top-of-the-range Festool router, it didn't come with a lateral fine adjuster. I think these days they do. So this fine adjuster is a shop-made one, just using a Bristol lever and a length of M6 thread. So one full turn of the Bristol lever is 1.0 millimeters. While I'd got the router out, I routed the rectangular hole in the base for the heel of the handle. But you'll just have to imagine that, because I didn't film it properly. Sorry about that.
Perfect. Well, I've glued my two pieces together and it's looking very nice. Bang on square. Not that that's particularly critical for this, but it's nice to know, isn't it? I'm going to reuse the original handle simply because there's nothing wrong with it. But I need to work out exactly where to pivot it. I'm going to make some new blocks because these are very scruffy indeed. And I can't work out how high to mount this, exactly how high, until I put the magnets on. So let's do that. Now these are really nice. They might even be too strong actually. We'll see. We'll see. But they're much stronger than these ever were. So, and you're always fighting the magnetism with a screwdriver. Can't see. There we go. I need a non-magnetic screwdriver is what I need. And I haven't got one. There we go. This is very difficult. Bloody neck. Well, that was a heck of a lot harder than I expected. But now that sits nice and level like that, and I can work out exactly where to mount this handle. So I've cut a couple of blocks, and I can work out exactly where to put the pivot point. So I know that this handle functions very nicely. From the old one. So that goes there sitting on the bench, and I can put my block up against it and just poke through with a pencil. And that will show me where I need to drill my hole. These are 8mm dowels, and 8mm is almost identical to 5/16 of an inch. And that worked very nicely last time, so I don't really see the need to change it. Just drill a couple of holes on here, and I'll be right back.
I know I said earlier that I was going to replace everything except the knobs, but actually this handle was in quite decent condition. It was just the heel that was a little bit worn. So I did actually just sand off about 1mm or so from the bottom of that, and it was as good as new. It'll last me another 20 years, I'm sure. It'll certainly see me out.
And so with the handle installed, you can see the action of the heel there. In the relaxed state, it's like that. When you lift the handle, it kicks that heel out and breaks the magnetic field. So this can go down onto the table like that, and when I drop the handle, it locks solid. Lift the handle, off it comes. The guard itself is just a piece of polycarbonate, and I have put some hazard warning tape around the edges, and that's just an extra visual deterrent to say this is a danger zone, keep your fingers well clear. There are a couple of wooden strips around the outside with embedded nuts in them which line up with these 4 slots. So I use the outer 2 on the long edge. Oh, and I've countersunk them really well on this side. It makes an enormous difference. I didn't on the first one, and I was for everlasting poking about trying to find where the hole was. So the 2 outer ones are used for the long side. And I do like to keep it as low as I reasonably can without it sort of getting in the way, you know? And that means I can use all kinds of jigs that work on the right-hand side here, where I can't use my super guard, and I'm well protected. I'm going to hit that before I get anywhere near the blade. And it does not move at all. As well as having it in that orientation, I can remove the plastic guard from the long side and remount it that way, like that. And now I can mount it at the back like that. And that's useful for when I'm using jigs when I've got a very long piece right across the saw and I'm going backwards and forwards, maybe for notching operations where having this at the side would get in the way. If I turn this around through 180 degrees, you can see what I see. That's the view from my point of view. And again, it does not move. It's not quite as secure when it's at the back there because only 2 of the magnets are in contact with the table. The other 2 are over the outfeed table, which is not magnetic. But even so, it wobbles a bit, but it doesn't actually move unless I give it a good whack. And anyway, I don't very often have it in that orientation. It's usually at the side here. So there we go. If you've got a table saw that doesn't have a guard, or you do operations where you can't use the guard that you have got, or if you know somebody else who does, then why not make one of these? It's inexpensive, it's robust, it does the job, and it saves my fingers. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And until the next time, stay safe at your table saw and enjoy your workshop. Cheerio!